Hi Foodsters! Today we are going to make the fudgiest brownies ever. So let's dive right into the video. Here I've taken 80 grams of browned butter. To that I'm adding half a cup or 100 grams of white granulated sugar. So though my pan is on the stove top right now, my stove is switched off. I'm adding the sugar to the butter while it's still warm so that it's easier to melt. And also you can use brown sugar instead if you want a chewier texture. So once this mixture has completely cooled down, we're going to add 2 eggs to the mixture and beat the living daylights out of this mixture, because beating these eggs well is what is going to give us a crackly top. And in here I have taken 120 grams of dark chocolate, which is melted completely. And to this we'll be adding brown butter, sugar and egg mixture and combine the two really well. And half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. So I wanted to jump right into the recipe today without wasting any time, and that's why I have attached all my special tips and tricks to the back of this video once the recipe is done. Things like how do you melt chocolate, how do you fix it if your chocolate seizes, how do you make browned butter, all these things are attached in the back of the video. Also, I'm using dark chocolate today and not milk chocolate because I'm going to be serving these brownies with some chocolate sauce and vanilla ice cream. If you're going to serve the brownies as is, you should probably use milk chocolate. So our dry ingredients for today are 80 grams of all-purpose flour, or that's around 2/3 of a cup, and 40 grams of cocoa powder, which is 1/3 of a cup. So what you see me doing here is that I'm folding in the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients little by little. This is called the cut and fold technique, where you cut in the middle of the bowl and scrape around the corners, and again cut in the middle and scrape around the corners. So that is the technique that I'm using today. That's because we don't want to overmix our batter. So our batter is almost ready. As you can see, it's a very thick and luscious batter. It's not runny at all. It's quite thick, and that also helps in adding to the fudginess because most of it is just melted chocolate and brown butter. So to this batter we're adding 120 grams of dark chocolate chunks. I know what you're thinking right now. You are most probably tempted to keep overmixing this batter because it's very thick and gooey and chocolatey, but please don't. So I don't have a brownie pan, and therefore I'm just going to use a regular baking dish and smooth the batter out evenly into half of my baking dish. You can use any baking dish you like. So we're going to bake this at 180 degrees Celsius for around 15 to 20 minutes. Mine were done in 15 minutes. To keep a constant lookout on it, you might easily burn it. So please be careful, and the more you cook it, the cakier it becomes. The less you cook it, the fudgier it is. Ta-da! Here are my perfectly baked brownies. They're still warm and so gooey in the center, as you can see. And this will serve 10 people. At least it's supposed to. I'm sure you can see the fact that as I cut into the brownie, there are beautiful cracks forming on the top of the brownie. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why we beat the eggs really well into the brownie mixture. Could we all just stop and take a moment to look at the inside of the brownie? They're so fudgy, and you see the little chocolate chunks in there. It's still gooey because it's still warm and just out of the oven. So my favorite way of serving brownies are while they are still warm and gooey and just out of the oven. Let's put some of that cold vanilla ice cream on top and top it off all with that indulgent chocolate fondue, the recipe which I will be uploading hopefully soon. That's it for the recipe part of the video. If you're signing off at this point, then bon appetit to you, but if you're not, then please keep watching to learn some tips and tricks. So the first thing I'm going to teach you is how to make browned butter. For this, I'm taking the butter and we're leaving the stove in the lowest flame that it can handle. So once it's fully melted, you'll see these white things floating on top of the butter, and then it will start coming to a boil. So after this point where it starts frothing up, keep stirring. You'll get this nutty caramelized sort of smell. That's when you know that your butter is ready, and also it will turn this beautiful amber color, and you can switch off the cooker at this point. Keep stirring, never leave the cooker and go. Next, for the melted chocolate, taken a pan here. I've kept around 1/3 of it full with water, again in the lowest flame, so that my water is not boiling but it's just simmering, because chocolate's melting point is quite low, and if you start boiling the water, it's going to burn your chocolate. So I've taken the chocolate in a dry heat-proof bowl, and I'm using dark chocolate here. I have cut it into small equal pieces using a serrated knife. It's very important if you want all your chocolate pieces to melt evenly. And also the spatula I'm using is also dry. So everything has to be dry, because water is the worst enemy of melting chocolate. So as you can see here, I keep stirring it occasionally. I have edited it all out, but it does take a few minutes, right? I am stirring only occasionally and letting it be, evenly spreading it out. You can see the different stages of it melting. For even heat distribution only, I am stirring it from time to time so that I can put the chunks on top to the bottom and take the melted part to the top. Now you can see that it has completely melted, but it's still not come to a flowy consistency. I got too caught up on the filming part of it and accidentally seized my chocolate. Seizing basically just means that your chocolate will not be flowy and glossy like it's supposed to, but instead it will be very grainy and very dry and hard. You know, it's like a paste and not like a liquid. So what you can do is you use boiling hot water. I know I just told you it's the worst enemy, but that was for melting chocolate. For seizing chocolate, the best friend is definitely just hot boiling water. Add a teaspoon in at a time and stir slowly, and keep increasing the amount of water little by little until you end up with glossy chocolate like you're supposed to get originally. So that's it for today, guys. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Bon appetit!